Hello and welcome to my patch notes rundown for the 30th of June. Well, look what we have here. Another clear update and a good one at that, along with a few crafting and PVM fixes. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The Masterwork damage staggering debuff text no longer overflows. The nature of this information is still unreadable in the midst of PVM. I think the buff bar has gotten to the point where it needs a dedicated UI for certain effects and styles. For example, when it comes to range, it's so difficult to keep track of both the Last Guardian stacks, when arrow stacks, Death Spore stacks, ECB duration, what arrows are equipped, among the other dozen buff icons. Unfortunately, this also negatively affected the buff bar text for various other effects, making them seem really blurry and are no longer in bold font when the buff bar is set to the medium icon size. The overcharged Ring of Retribution is now always protected on death. Weirdly enough, based on the death preview, the ring is also always saved in PvP, which I don't think is intentional. When crafting Masterwork magic armor pieces, the default amount will be set to 1. This means that players no longer run the risk of crafting more than one piece of each armor. Added the Lost Grove as a potential area to scan during Master Treasure Trails. I understand why they added this, since Master Clues only have 3 scan locations compared to Elite's 20, which gives the gameplay less variety, and ultimately I don't mind its implementation as long as it results in a fun route. The Gnome Coach and Captain Ninto no longer move around. This makes locating these NPCs much easier and less RNG, and I personally don't mind since they're not the easiest to identify in their dense locations. Reworked Portmaster Cags, Dragon Trinkets and Metallic Dragon Trinkets teleport interfaces. This is super nice. Previously, these teleports were used through a chat box, and this not only streamlines it with a lot of other teleports in the game, but also allows players to teleport to locations without having to go through up to 4 chat messages. Reduce the teleportation duration of fairings from 4.8 to 3.6 seconds. The duration is entirely cut from the time that the player appears at the designated fair ring, where it felt like you were waiting forever before being able to move. If it was up to me, I think all teleports should be streamlined to work the same way, in the sense that when you appear at the designated location, you should be able to move instantly without any kind of stall. Converted all 6 Ascension keys into one type of keystone. This is great, as it was outdated and unnecessary. It especially negatively impacted Iron Men going for pets and allowed for merchants to buy out specific keys. The Flamebound Rival debuff will no longer clear when players use Sign of Life or Resurrect after using Immortality. Very good bug fix, since this was especially rough at higher end rages of Zamorak, as players usually use Immortality to deal with certain mechanics, and this was extremely punishing in terms of DPS for anyone intending to use a special attack during the encounter. The Flamebound Rival debuff will now carry through Araxor phase 2 to 3 during middle or bottom path, Raksha phase 3 to 4, and Zamorak phase 6 to 7. This now means that all debuffs carry over, as well as including Smoke Cloud and Vulnerability. However, the clearing of player item debuffs like Death Spores remains the same, which is nice, as it's meta to use at Raksha even though it would normally be on a 20-second cooldown. And that's it for this week's patch notes. It's good to see more quality of life changes come to Clue Scrolls, as well as some hasty fixes to new releases like EZK. Anyways, that's it from me. Thank you for watching and take care.